Alright, so hello everyone, once again, welcome everyone, a very good evening. So, काफी देर से हम सभी इंतजार कर रहे थे for our panel discussion. So, we'll not take much time and let's begin our panel discussion. So, our next panel discussion is on architectural practice, balancing between ethical and unethical practice. And our moderator of the session is architect Ashok Kumar, principal architect, REN Design, Lucknow. Everyone, please put your hands together for our moderator of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, architect Ashok Kumar, his education qualification is Bachelor's of Architect, IIID, Roorkee, Uttarakhand. He is gold medalist and his total experience in the field is more than 40 years. Awarded the project of New Moradabad Township through international competition by organizing by Moradabad Development Authority for the New Moradabad Township planning. Please put your hands together and please welcome our moderator of the session, Architect Ashok Kumar, on stage, everyone. Alright, so now ladies and gentlemen, our moderator is joining us on stage, and with this, now we are all set and ready to call our first panelist on stage. Our first panelist is Architect Anupam Mittal, founder, Architects Plus, Lucknow. Ladies and gentlemen, Architect Anupam Mittal graduated from Government College of Architect, Lucknow in 1994 with a zeal to obtain excellence in architecture field. He started his own design firm in the name Architect Plus within a year after completing his graduation. Please put your hands together and welcome our first panelist, Architect Anupam Mittal. Alright, so now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to call our second panelist on stage. Our second panelist is Architect Preeti Rana, Associate Professor, Amity College of Architect and Planner. May I request Karungi ma'am to please come and join us on stage. Everyone, please welcome ma'am with applause. Alright, so our third panelist, ladies and gentlemen, is Architect Zareen Zakarais ma'am, Imitate Past President, IIID National Kochi. Please welcome ma'am with applause on stage. With this, now it's time to call our fourth panelist on stage, Architect Vatsal Joshi, Founder, Director, Associates, Architects India Private Limited, Ahmedabad. Ladies and gentlemen, Architect Vatsal Joshi completed his bachelor's in architecture from the MS University, Baroda in 1993. Post this, he founded Associated Architect India Private Limited in the year 1992. Please put your hands together and welcome Architect Vatsal Joshi on stage. He has worked on 700 plus projects around the globe. Please put your hands together once again and welcome Architect Vatsal Joshi on stage. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, it's time to call our next panelist on stage. So I request Mr. Amit Pandey, Branch Head Cup Havels India Limited. I request sir to please come and join us on stage. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Amit Pandey, Branch Head Cup Havels India Limited on stage. Alright, so now I request our moderator, Architect, to please kindly moderate the session. Thank you.
Welcome everybody. I'm Ashok Kumar, and it's my privilege to be here with you all, and I'm sure you all have got the proper introduction of all these panelists. So the topic being the challenges and the interface that we normally have as a ethical and unethical practices. So, how to strike a balance between the ethical and unethical practice, we can discuss now. But then, let's see what is the ethical practice. It's a very debatable and very kind of long debatable topic. So it's better that we should kind of leave it to our esteemed panelists to air their views. But let me just say one thing, that the ethical practice or the ethics, they come out of the conviction and sort of system of an individual. So being an architect, one has to see what kind of conviction and value system one would follow, and that only defines and derives the kind of ethics one would go with in practices. And therefore, while we deal with these sensitive issues, we have to see how best we can maintain our ethics in terms of dealing with our clients, dealing with the institutions that we have, dealing with all the authorities, be it regulations and otherwise, and then we can probably ensure that the ethical practice will get more cadence and will be effectively followed. That is one thing. And second, as you know, we are not the ones who would be solely responsible for taking the profession alive and ahead. It is also the students of architecture, because they are the future architects. So once we start any value system or any ethical practice, it is definitely going to have a fair amount of impact on the people who are involved in the practices. For example, any student who is into the learning process today, whether in the college or in the offices, would definitely have something to draw from the people who are around. And that is why I'm pretty sure that the young architects would have much to look upon the seniors, the people around, the better practices, established architects as their role model and as their kind of source of inspiration. And therefore, we have to see that they go well along with everything. So now with this, start our questions from Mr. Anupam. So Anupam is a very active architect, and I'm sure you all would know that. So he has been into all kind of projects dealing with government, private, and otherwise. So the first question for Anupam is, how do regulatory bodies and professional organizations help to ensure that architects maintain ethical standards in their work? That is one. And also, what are some consequences for architects who violate ethical guidelines? So, Anupam, you can surely throw some light on this.
Thank you, sir. Since पहले टॉपिक के बारे में कुछ बोलना चाह रहा हूँ, जिन्होंने ऐसा says balancing between ethical and unethical practice. अब balance सबसे अच्छा तब होता है 50-50 होता है. Is everybody going to agree with 50-50 balance of ethical and unethical? No. Anybody agree with 50-50? No. So it's never a balance between ethical and unethical. It is basically a bypass. You have to bypass an unethical practice and practice proper in ethics, and that is the only way you can actually grow. And sir, while answering your question that government departments or private sector or the private practice, we always have an option of doing unethical things. It's always there. Right now I'm sitting on this stage, I can say wrong things, I can say negative things and all, but since all generations are there, young generations are there, each generation is there in the hall, definitely we should talk positive. And there is a message on this that profession or life, it has got no shortcuts. Ethical and unethical comes when you need to have shortcuts. You want to earn fast. You want to learn. You don't want to learn, but you want to earn. And you want to gain things faster, make a name or fame, whatever. But if you really want to be patient, if you really want to grow, if you want to create your roots strong, then this unethical things, this thing is not never going to harm you or hate you. So, I was told that, like it was told that I was having a practice of say 28 years, you are a practice of 40 years. I know you for years, so I was a student, I know you from that time. And I saw you growing, you are always growing. It's a continuous process. So it is not important that what exactly you work. It's more important that how you work, how you take your things forward. Generally, whenever we see a practice or a profession or a job or maybe a project, so for that particular project, we deliver up to our best ability. Like we were there together for one of the competitions 2 days back, 3 days back. We delivered our best, you delivered your best. Somebody got, somebody didn't got. And sometimes what happens actually, we are absolutely about exactly hota kya hai. So once we do not we get to know if maybe somebody has did some kind of thing which is unethical and you lose the job. Now it's up to me that I keep patience, I have patience, I keep working on the things, then definitely things are going to deliver. मुझे कुछ मिलता रहेगा, मुझे अपने हिस्से की रोटी मिलती रहेगी, मुझे पैसे का काम मिलता रहेगा, and I'll keep growing. So it's a continuous growth. There is no vertical, there is no shortcut. If I am able to answer you, otherwise check me again.
Very well, Anupam. In fact, you rightly said that all these activities will have a lot more meaning in terms of others to see, and that is how it goes on. So basically, and one more thing, since you are having good interface with the government offices and government authorities, so there again the aspect of ethical practices is very, very critical and important. Because as you know, I'm sure I will have something on this particular topic. Most of us know that in getting a map sanctioned, whether it's LDA, Housing Board or any other authority across the country, architects have a tremendous challenge to deal with them. In spite of the fact that government of India, government of UP and other states, they have, as a matter of policy, to bring about ease of doing business, they have introduced all these softwares and drawings is almost eliminated. But then the kind of harassment and kind of procedure that we encounter is not different. I'm sure that you experience. So in any case, we have to manage our things and we have to put in efforts to minimize these interactions.
सर इस बारे में एक छोटा सा शेयर किया गया था ऐसे जब बात करते हैं कि अल्टीमेटली जब हम मूव करते हैं प्रोजेक्ट्स के लिए तो डेफिनेटली हमको मिनिमाइज करने वाली बात आपकी ठीक है बट आई फील दैट अगर खुद ही को कर बोला देना कि हर तरकीब से पहले बता बनने से तो तुझे पता तेरी रजा क्या है तब नहीं होता है थैंक यू सर
Alright, so now next question for architect Ravi. She is promising designer and also one of the important topic bearers of IIID. I'm sure you all are aware. So while I had a chat with her, so she has interest in the practices, and one question that she would like to be given is, in what ways can practice be used to promote social and environmental justice? So,
how architectural practice and interior design practices contribute to social ethics. I think we are different from other professionals in a way that what we do, what we practice, how we practice, kind of that influences or touches people and their lives. This famous quote is always there, which comes to my mind from Winston Churchill. Like, when we build a space, we first shape our spaces, which then shape our people. So I think the answer to the question is, whatever we do finally shapes people. And when we do it holistically, ethically, we are actually kind of nurturing, nourishing an ethical, value-based community also. I think in today's world, particularly, we have a very big role to play. Yes, there are different kind of definitions for ethics. What is set as a code for us by some council or regulating body. The code which defines our profession. We believe that we are from the creator's creed itself, that we have a role to play. And so, when we do it, we have to apply some standards of ethics which may not be written anywhere, but should naturally come to us from what we are doing. For example, a line we draw today can be very helpful to a family, which can come up as a wall with a window, which brings in light, beautiful sceneries, seasons, chirping of the birds, so much of beauty together with it. So, like Shankaracharya has said, you cannot draw a line without changing the universe. So that is the kind of value or ethics which we need to attach. On another context, look at that line. Every line we draw is a line which is going to rob our planet of something. If it is a glass, it comes with some, quotient, like energy resources. So many, problems which we are talking about today, like global warming, everything, 40% of that is coming from the building industry. So here also, we have a direct impact on how we can shape. So for example, the journey to net zero, that should be the kind of ethics which we set for ourselves. Our spaces, whether it is in interiors, while choosing materials, how far will you go? Will you go to China or do a local marketing from the local craftspeople? That matters. And also, what are the materials? Will you go for the high energy based materials or have something locally available from maybe a radius of 10 kilometers maximum? So these are the questions which as architectural and interior design practitioners should look up when we discuss ethics. And I think the society, the lives, the happiness index of the world itself depends upon this.
Rightly said. Very interesting. In fact, all these attempts to bring about balance when we practice, we have to also ensure that the environment is protected and we do justice to the environment also. And therefore, as an architect, as a designer, we have a great role to play in terms of maintaining all these, features, and they're part of ethics as such. Because a professional practice does not have only one aspect of ethics by following the. It is also having a right way of, trying to portray things and trying to promote things. So I think all is a very holistic approach, and that's how it is important. Now we'll move on with our next question to Dr. Deepthi Pandey. She is an academician, I'm sure you all know. She is associate professor in MIT University, and we have with us with a view to seek her opinion and ideas on the topic of discussion, in the sense that I personally feel that these young minds as students today, they will be kind of a very important stream of the society as an architect. And therefore, when they are being taught, they are being groomed, they should be given a very right kind of advice, right kind of, and right kind of teaching and learning, so that they become very, very, appropriate members of the society as an architect. And therefore, my question to her would be, what is the contribution of academicians for shaping the architects towards grooming them into ethical practices?
Thank you for the question, sir. Good afternoon, one and all. We as an academicians are the SPOCs, single point of contact for the students, those who are the upcoming architects and interior designers. During the training program and the process which need the experiential learning of the students, we are supposed to ask the students to go and work with various industries during their particular credit courses. So the industry interface, what they have, is the basic, basically it's going to cement the professional ethics, what they see in the various offices where they are working. And such kind of encounters what we are having, the students should come up and have the skill development along with the senior architects, taking their role models, considering their lectures, considering their deliverables, the discourse, whatever the seniors are giving. Thus, national and international platform actually help the students to get the ethics from these combined mentors.
Very right. I think it's very important for students to really follow the right path of learning, because that is all going to make them bright architect and well groomed and a disciplined one, I am sure. So now our next question will be towards Mr. Vasal. So welcome. This is about the topic itself is all about ethical practices and all. So we have a question which says, how can architectural education and professional development prepare architects navigate complex ethical issues that are incorporated in practices?
Okay. Thank you for having me here. And I again kind of take this point further that there's no question of balancing between ethical and it is about getting rid of the unethical practice. So that is, I think, the start acknowledged. And between the professional and the students. So I mean, when we start as a student, we always look up to the seniors in that sense of the teachers, where we are learning, and then of course to the industry. So what percolates down from the industry to the student level has to be very, very filtered, in that sense that the students are made to understand the value of ethics, and probably, as we also said, that wait period is what we must be teaching the students about, rather than the shortcuts that we Indians, and I'm saying as general, Indians have that tendency of taking shortcuts everywhere. And that is where I think the onus lies on the professionals to hold the students' hands so that they don't falter. And we as professionals also get so many opportunities to be allured to certain things which we have to resist, and we have to kind of come clean over that. So that is the inner calling, as also Jameen mentioned. So that is where I think understanding between doing the right thing the right way comes about, and its values are carried forward to the next generation. And I'll give you a small example, and this is very fresh. Yesterday I received a WhatsApp message from somebody, unknown number, and they said, I have a lead for a project, and would you want to do it? So I mean, asked generally, what is the lead? So this is the project, and I work on commission basis. So now, do you want to yourself cross that boundary or not? Is the question that you have to ask yourself. And that is where the ethics or the morals come into place, and where you can stand strong and say yes or no to a particular offer that you are giving. So that is my understanding of this.
Yeah, so the crux of the matter is that there is no shortcut and there is no replacement of the hard work. As he says that while a student or education goes on, I'm sure these two things are important, and that is what is going to make a very holistic development of a individual as a good architect. So now we'll move on to the next question from Amit Pandey. He is the local head of Havels, who is also our principal sponsor. And Havels, the leading brand you all know. So they have a variety of products which include energy efficient lights, fixtures, fittings, and plot bomb. And since they are like Mr. Pandey is representing Havels, we have a question to him, particularly with regard to something that relates very significantly, and that is how can architectural practice respond to contemporary challenges such as climate change, social inequality, and an ethical and sustainable manner. So you can just add something on this.
Maybe I would first start with what Albam said. So ethics is something which cannot be, so it is not about balancing something. So it's about following something. And to answer your question, Havels is one of the important big FMEG company. And we have always been responsible towards this climate part. Just to tell you something about the steps which we take, we have been very passionately working on it, wherein we have all plans to reduce our carbon CO2 emissions. So just to give you some number, we have reduced around 8,000 tons of, we were able to mitigate 8,000 tons of carbon dioxide CO2 through our decarbonization plan. Also, we are planning to put all our plants, so we have around 40 world-class plants working for manufacturing our products. So we are putting all those plants on solar energy. To tell you more about it, we are more passionate about, so we are the first FMEG company who are water positive. So we take from ground, we give it back to them. So towards climate and all, we are very passionate and we are working on it. Thank you.
Good, thank you. So here again, as Mr. Pandey said, we are ensure that the sustainability aspect does not get compromised. And we as architects, we have to ensure that, and I think in our all projects, sustainability has to be encouraged, whether it's by means of using solar panels or energy efficient fixtures, fittings, etc. So that goes without saying that it remains a very important tool for our practices. Next question we'll have with Anupam. So this is about what are some common ethical dilemmas that architects face in their practice, and how do they typically navigate these situations?
So it's a day-to-day practice. Since Havels is also here, so I'll start with the company products. A lot of people from different companies I can see sitting around. So if you want to get your product approved, so we are the approving authority. So the ethics and non-ethics, unethical things start from this point. So what I prefer, or I suggest companies that give us just three things. Yes, we want something from you. One is good service, good product, and hand-holding in terms of providing specifications, sampling and all those things. And if you are able to produce a good product, a good service, and the documentation whatever is required on time, you are done. I don't need anything else. And whenever we have any kind of seminar, do sponsor us. So now these small things, then as Ashok sir is asking about navigating through those things. And as Vatsal sir said, that you get SMS, yeah, we get SMS, we get mails, we get calls, that we can give you a job, we can give you a project. I can get my project myself. When I was having a practice of 1 year or maybe few months, I worked in small projects, few projects, small setup. Today, I have big setup, big projects, larger projects. So it's a growth. So again, sir, answer remains almost the same. There's no shortcuts. You have to keep growing. And yes, there are situations, if I wish to be very open about things, there are situations, especially not about getting kind of situation, but managing the project throughout the period of this activity, construction and all, especially when you are getting your payments delayed, once your drawings are getting issued but not accepted, or maybe it's not getting sanctioned, it is getting all those small hiccups. Then you have to be smart enough. You have to be smart enough to handle those things, especially when NOCs are there, you have to provide your NOCs, you have to redo your drawings. So what I prefer or I suggest, you have your best of the drawing, best of the details, you should know your subject. For example, fire department is the first department when the NOCs are concerned. And we should be literate enough to know the norms. Our drawings should be clear enough and we should stand for our drawings. And then I see that most of the time it is, and then definitely it is not that 100% it is done in the same manner. Society is not that clean, people are not that clean, and definitely it troubles a lot.
Very true. In fact, really true that most of the times an architect or the designer does not have right amount of knowledge of the regulations and laws, you have taken the right. And as I said, I'm sure most of you would have experienced this. Supposing you go for a fire clearance of any building. So, in spite of the fact that there is nothing written in the fire code, there is nothing written in the NPC that this has to happen this way, but then the concerned person in the department who is there looking at your file, he will start making those unwanted objections and such things. And if you have the right amount of knowledge, you can definitely counter and get that person into silence. Similarly, in authorities also, when you deal with these situations, you actually navigating these different hurdles is easier and all the more convenient when you have good amount of knowledge. So it is better that we remain well equipped so that we can definitely navigate these situations quite effectively. So now we'll have the next question for the Dean, and that is, what role do codes of ethics and professional standards play in guiding ethical practices?
The existing codes, what role they play? I think the existing codes play a role in pushing us into thinking of unethical practices so that we can be ethical. It's a very complicated question and my answer is equally complicated. The present ethics, when we talk about it, what comes to our mind is the 1972 Act of the COA. We must agree completely that it is great. It has helped us regulate the profession, particularly from the point of view of safety and security associated with buildings. And lives matter. But beyond that, after almost 35 years of practice and 50 years of act, I'm so itching to be unethical. Because I don't. We can be ethical to the higher calling of our profession if we don't look at that 86% of Indians who have a need to build, who desperately need designers and architects, because that is where our expertise really counts. But we can't go to them without charging 5% of the fee for architecture or 7.5% if it is interiors. The minimum set free, if I don't charge, I am unethical. So I haven't done it till date, but I am moving towards it in the sense that I am going to tell the council that this is not fair. This code, which doesn't address 86% of the population, that cannot work. And the other consultants, for example, we say doctors and advocates, they are also the other two professions taken up together with architects. They can practice as a consultant, but we can't. It has to be a comprehensive service. If I put a board in front of my office and say that architect Judging Secretary is available from 5 to 7 for consultation, and if some person comes with 500 rupees or even nothing, I cannot take it because I am bound by this ethics. I cannot take it. It's like time we look at that. So this great design divide which naturally comes or it's not addressing is one concern. Other thing is about what Vatsal told, this lead. I heard a famous or well-known Bangalore architect who was like the role model for many students. Like last month he had a session and he literally broke down because he has zero words because he doesn't know how to access social media. When the social media is full of the spaces with gray and very minimalistic furniture, etc., his used to be with a lots of ochre and Indian festive colors and all that, which had its own joy, but he doesn't even know how to get it across. So we are talking about the lead being there, which is accessible to some people, but it is not available because of some let-off. So how we do address this? The code should maybe kind of address that also. And look at the students. Students of architecture who kind of toil day and night. You know how difficult those sleepless nights and submissions are. They go into offices for 6 months or 1 year internship. And let me tell you, the Council of Architecture President, last month at Cochin, or even I think Calicut, from the public forum told that 90% of the architects practicing in India are not doing good work. So if that is the case, how can the council insist on these students being sent to these offices where it can mar or make the students' lives? Because beyond colleges, as Romani said, they look for role models. And those role models may not be what they are going into. And coming to role models itself, I have personally listened to India's most famous architect saying in his presentation from the stage that he will do a headstand or a handstand to get a project, and it is about marketing. So these are difficult times, and whatever is in the code probably may not be okay for us in these times, and we have to again go back and set our own ethics, our own responsibilities to how we address this. I'm happy that council is kind of amending the entire code, and let me also tell you, if we don't do that, we are just regulating a profession which may not be there after like 10 years or 20 years. Designers, architects, they are supposed to vanish because the definition of the client has also changed. Changing the definition of architect. Now, we are more like collaborators. They know equally good as what they want. And particularly in residential sector, they know better than us as to what they want. We have to gear up our game, our responses, and have maybe a better kind of code which is embracing all these aspects.
Thank you, thank you. So definitely, I mean, the challenges are always there, and I'm sure everybody learns from one's own experiences, because when you practice, you get certain obstacles, certain experiences, and like he said, when you deal with the project, sometimes getting the project itself is a challenge, and then of course handling with the project and getting the whole thing carried out in the office is again a challenge, because you have to get the right kind of people to deal with the project. So, rightly said, every aspect of the project will definitely encounter certain challenges, and we have to see that definitely followed, because code of ethics will definitely have a relevant meaning in making you walk on the right path. So, this is all about at this stage. And now we'll have the next question for Dr. Deepti Pandey, and that is, how do you groom your students with the focus towards ethical practices?
It's a very big question now, because ma'am has already said that we are in a vanishing state. So it's a challenge to all faculty and all academicians to look after. Yes, we as in academicians, architects, we are allowed by the statutory body in any of the organization we are working that we can practice also. So what we practice, we implement and we teach to our students. If we are doing what is correct, what is right, and ethically we are sound and teaching the correct note to our students, we are justified. A question directly to the facilitator, that is the faculty. Various ethical HVCO, Human Value Quarter, and professional ethics, these are the mandatory courses which have been come through UGC as of now in every year architecture program as well. Council have given professional practice, but professional practice in Human Value Quarter is an additional course which has been added. Any student for 10th semester has to go through this course. This teaches again the ethics, how to maintain the ethics, and again I am repeating that we as an architect and teacher, since we are practicing also, so what we practice should be clear one-to-one to us, so that we can deliberate and discourse to our students to get the correct picture of ethics to them. I think I've answered what is so very pleasing.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Deepti. So now, as we have heard the various experts on these different issues, we'll have a next question to Dr. This is about the next question is, how can the architectural profession as a whole promote greater ethical awareness and accountability amongst members and foster a culture of ethical practice?
So can you just repeat the first part?
Yeah, first part is, how can the architectural profession as a whole promote greater ethical awareness and accountability?
Okay, so yeah, here we are in one of them. So the institutes have to take the oaths, COA, IIID, IIID. These are the institutes that we are of the profession, and they will have to take this onus on us. Also, I think that what Yvonne said about the companies that are associated, are part of this fraternity, the building industry. We have to take a cohesive view of, because they are looking at selling the products. How are we consuming it? Is a situation we need to understand, both of us as specifiers and as manufacturers. We have seen time and again that companies have taken out various schemes sort of to allure the specifiers for their particular products, and that happens even in the medical industry, where trips abroad, some kind of pharmaceutical. So this is a very important element that we must understand, and that is where the role of the institute comes in. And I have, sorry, there's some issue. In this 30 odd years of experience, I have never seen any architect get punished or penalized for any unethical practice. I think we must, at the institute level, set our standards high. And if we do the right policy, maybe there have been instances where the wrong word of use architect has been taken up at IIID level and CO level, and there have been a case like that. But unethical practices have never been penalized as far as I know. So that is where if we set our standards high, and if we, then things will change for good. Because then people will understand that it is important for them to stay away from this, and there's policing done. We don't need policing, but to set examples, it is very important in that sense. So that is one part in terms of the company nexus or whatever we want to call it. The other part is, as a fraternity inside, are we doing ethical practices? I mean, we talked about competitions and we said that fair competitions happen, but there are so many instances of unfair competitions happening, where people undercut, where people maybe even bribe to take the projects. So that is where again we must be, as an institutes, we must come together and make such cases aware to the general fraternity, where we, again by setting examples, we can maybe change the situations for better. At both levels, within the fraternity and outside also the fraternity with the industry, we must be looking at examples where such practices can be highlighted and brought to the notice of the fraternity, and can be an example that this is not to be. So that is an understanding that I have cultivated over this period.
Thank you, Varsal. So, as you have seen, our esteemed panelists have really, given a variety of questions, very interesting answers. So now this has been the response so far, and I'd just like to conclude in terms of how this ethical practices would have a greater meaning through academics, through practices, through other challenges that we generally encounter. So to sum it up, I think we can have some questions also from the audience. So people who have some questions from different times, and then we can have a conclusive note on this. Any more questions, please? This side, this side. You can see the light.
Yeah, good afternoon. And I think it's very interesting. I think it's nice that this panel has used the word ethical and unethical, because I think the whole world is only grey. There is nothing is white, nothing is black. And I really feel that, look all around us, there is ethical and unethical, and there is some balance between the two. And I'm not sure whether we can be really safeguarding the ethical practices and being the custodians of ethical practice. I don't think so it's fair to do that, because to each one his own is what I feel. Yes, we need to put very strict guidelines, like you have all the penal codes and the street codes, and make sure that you have to lead by example, saying that this is the best way to go about. But if you don't follow, it's your own cause, and it's not detrimental to someone's good health or the building's bad health. To be very honest, when it comes to
personal ethical practices. But when it comes to architects compromising on, that should be, that's where you have to draw the line. That no architect can be unethical in practice in terms of going beyond what is not stated, which is technically correct or as per statutory. So I think that's where we want, I think something, if one of you can answer that, how do we balance that? So there are two types of things when we say we are unethical. We are unethical when we heed to our client's requests or the needs of a budget to do certain things which we are forced to do, which we know are not in line with the rules and laws of the land. And the second one is a very personal thing where, like someone says, undercutting, taking advantage of your position of selection, or when you have bids. I think that is something which is difficult to control. But if one of you can tell us, where do we draw and how do we get this legislation out? That is where what does the professional bodies like IIID or any authority can do to make sure that this gets strictly implemented? That's my question to any one of you.
I think it's a very significant point of discussion, because as we have heard in the recent past, in Lucknow itself, LDA had come out with some kind of mandate that if there is any building constructed in the wrong zone, like you may have imposed upon a setback, you may have gone for an extra FAR or something, any severe violation. So the architect is supposed to be targeted for penal action. So that should not be the kind of situation that we should encourage, because here again there are two aspects. One, that we should have a good amount of knowledge to deal with the situation and talking the regulation part. Second, we should not let it happen in the first place, because we as an architect, we have to be ethical in all means. Then we can have a respect, high respect in society and among the people that we deal with. Because unless we are ourselves very strong in terms of our values and ethics, I'm sure the things will definitely be very embarrassing at a very frequent situation. And the second aspect was, when this mandate came from LDA, our professional bodies like whether we have IIID or LA or any such platform, we should have a very strong counteraction that most of the time, I'm telling you that this is a fact, 99% cases, this is the client who forces the architect or kind of creates a situation where these kind of unauthorized constructions stop. And when that happens, then ultimate scapegoat is the architect. So this should be avoided by all means, and the key factor in all this is that we have to be strong in our character, in our approach, and we have to follow a very robust system of regulations so that nobody takes us right, nobody takes us for granted. So I think this is the...
मनोज भाई जी, आपको मैं ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट में आंसर कर दूं। हम जो मैप अप्रूवल की बात कर लेते हैं, मैप अप्रूवल के टाइम पे एक मैप बनता है जो हम एलडीए या अथॉरिटी अप्रूव मैप होता है, और एक मैप हम देते हैं अपने क्लाइंट्स को, हम देते हैं जो बनता है, मतलब ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट बात कर लेते हैं। ओके, सो वन इज एथिकल मैप एंड वन इज अनएथिकल मैप, राइट। उस अनएथिकल मैप में जो काम होता है, और फिर अगर बिल्डिंग में कुछ आग लगती है या बिल्डिंग में कुछ जैसे बिल्डिंग गिर गई रिसेंटली, तब खोजा जाता है कि इसका कल्प्रिट कौन है, राइट। रिसेंटली जो मैप अप्रूवल सिस्टम है हमारे, अगर हम यूपी की बात करें तो नया अप्रूवल सिस्टम लागू होने वाला है। उसमें दिस मैप विल नॉट गो टू अथॉरिटी एट ऑल द पावर्स विल बी विद यू। द न्यू रेगुलेशन इज अबाउट टू कम, it will not be a surprise to everybody. Then you are the authority, you have to sign and you have to ensure that building is built like this, otherwise you will be responsible. So when things are happening, accidents are happening, things are getting in line, and definitely you will be responsible. So it is absolutely a black and white thing. And the other part is what you asked is about this cutting things and all. Definitely it's a process. You have to be strong. अगर आपको अपने तरीके से काम करना है तो आपको करना है. There is no the balance is your own balance. रात को अगर आप मिरर के सामने खड़े होकर अपने आप से बात कर सकते हैं, अपने आँख से आँख मिला है तो इट्स गुड. अगर नींद नहीं आती तो आप चेक कर सकते हैं.
हेलो, मेरा जो क्वेश्चन है वो अनुपम सर से ये है कि इन्होंने नए रेगुलेशन के बारे में बताया कि अगर कोई आर्किटेक्ट, मतलब आपका कहने का मतलब है कि आर्किटेक्ट ये मॉनिटर करेगा कि बिल्डिंग में डेविएशन तो नहीं हो रहा है, और अगर डेविएशन हो रहा है तो क्या करेगा? आज से पहले जब एलडीए उसको रेगुलरली मॉनिटर करता रहा पिछले 50 साल से 40 साल से कि बिल्डिंग में डेविएशन होगा, तो इसका मतलब एलडीए रिस्पॉन्सिबल था. तो अगर किसी बिल्डिंग में डेविएशन होता है तो क्या एलडीए के किसी अधिकारी को आज तक उसका पनिशमेंट मिला है? और पहली बात. दूसरी बात यह है कि अगर डॉक्टर के पास आप जाते हैं और डॉक्टर आपसे कहता है कि आप चाय नहीं पिएंगे, चाय पीना आपके स्वास्थ्य के लिए हानिकारक है, तो क्या डॉक्टर की जिम्मेदारी है फिर वो आके देखें कि आप चाय उसके बावजूद पी रहे हैं? देखिए, वी आर जस्ट कंसल्टेंट, वी आर नॉट अथॉरिटीज. हमारा कोई स्टेप नहीं है कि हम किसी के को रेगुलेट कर सके क्लाइंट को कि साहब आप अपने घर पर ऐसे ही बनाएंगे. हमने उसको प्रॉपर कंसल्टेशन दी. उसके बाद अगर वो कोई डेविएशन करता है, ही हिमसेल्फ इज रिस्पांसिबल और द अथॉरिटीज इज रिस्पांसिबल. आर्किटेक्ट कैन नॉट बी रिस्पांसिबल फॉर एनी एक्ट व्हिच द क्लाइंट्स डू.
Definitely, Sandeep, this is what I was trying to say, that you see, LDA's mandate is one. They can come out with any whimsical decision or any whimsical direction. But as an architect, we have to be doubly sure that we are, first of all, in the first place, we should be closer to the legal framework and closer to be a right side of the law as far as possible. That means, if it is 67% coverage allowed, then we should be more or less at par. We should not cover 95% or something like that. So that once we are closer to the right side of the law, I'm sure nobody will finger any. That is one. But however, if there is anything that client does on its own choice or something or insistence, then at least we can always say that we are not at fault and we are not supposed to be taken for any kind of question and any kind of accountability on that issue. And therefore, my very strong observation was that for such a such a sensitive issue, the whole community should stand together and make an issue that this should not be made accountable to architects at all. That is
इसको ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट आंसर कर देते हैं. ठीक है, ये रेगुलेशन मैं नहीं ला रहा हूँ, मुझे मालूम पड़ा है क्योंकि डिस्कशन हुआ था जहाँ पे आई वाज आल्सो देयर. आई वाज नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ दैट डिस्कशन, आई वाज अ पार्ट ऑफ लिसनर. ये रेगुलेशन का वक्त, सो डोंट अज्यूम कि मैं ला रहा हूँ प्लीज. ओके, आपके सवाल में आपका आंसर है. जिस कभी भी एलडी के किसी अधिकारी को पनिशमेंट नहीं मिला, किसी भी देश के किसी भी राज्य के किसी अथॉरिटी में किसी को पनिशमेंट नहीं मिला, तो वो पनिशमेंट तो नहीं मिलेगा नहीं, तो वो अपना ठीकरा जो है आपके सर पर ठोकना चाहते हैं. सिंपल, ब्लैक एंड व्हाइट, क्योंकि उनको मिल नहीं सकता, आपको पनिशमेंट मिल सकता है. अदर थिंग इज, इसको क्वेश्चन किया जब मुझे मौका थोड़ा सा मिला बोलने का, मैंने बोला वहाँ पे इस पॉइंट पे. तो जैसे सर ने कहा, अशोक सर ने कहा, बिल्कुल क्लियर कट है कि आपकी जो अथॉरिटी है या आपका जो, संदीप मेरे सुन लो आप, सारा ध्यान तो माइक के ऊपर, कि आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी आपका मैप है जहाँ पे साइन किया है. अगर उससे डेविएशन होता है, ठीक है, तो मैप निरस्त माना जाए. मैंने उसको इस तरह से कहा कि सर उसको निरस्त मान लीजिए, हमारा जो साइन है वो जो मैप है, अगर उससे डेविएट हो गया तो वी आर आउट ऑफ इट. दैट्स इट. सो वी हैव टू, जैसे सर ने कहा कि वी हैव टू स्टैंड टुगेदर फॉर दिस, कि व्हेनेवर इट इज कमिंग, इट शुड नॉट बी ऑन आवर हेड, इट शुड बी अगेन practice. We should make the correct map, and then whatever happens, we have to take care of it. It's not that we are monitoring. No, we are not policing. We are not police.
That's why I'm saying, sir, there are cities, even like in Greater Noida, where there is a provision of completion certificate. Once, if you are not taking a completion certificate, you will not get electrical connections, anything. So why can't this system be implemented in Lucknow? It is the authorities who are responsible for these illegal like construction, not architects. Because if I design a house in say 3200 square feet and I leave 60%, well I use 60% only, then he'll ask me, sir, मेरे आसपास जितने मकान बने हुए हैं कॉलोनी में, उसमें से एक भी नहीं है इस तरह से. So it is up to the authorities to regulate that. It should not be forced upon the architects. And if such any proposal like this should come, we all should stand unanimously and oppose it. Even if we have to challenge it legally, we should do it.
Yes, definitely. I think that's the right point. Please.
Happening. There is a self-declaration up to 200 square meter plots.
That is
it's already
there.
happening.
Yes.
You don't need to go to the municipality for up to, it's a self-declared,
No,
you just
that-
submit the plan, it's an online,
That has been-
up to 200 square
Yes.
meters, you are responsible.
That has come into being, that has come into implementation in Lucknow also. All the housing board and LDA plots of this size, you can do it through architects only. Don't have to go there.
Yeah, I'll just throw my views to you. You answer. I believe ethics is contextual and time bound. In Gujarat, 3 times the impact fee law has come where we have declared fools as architects who followed ethical practice. Whatever was unethical was done. It was passed by the government by taking some money saying its impact created, which have created an impact, will mitigate it. Nothing has happened to that. For building bridges and roads. A state where the Prime Minister comes from. Okay? When Mumtaz lied for 98 days when Taj Mahal was being created, was it unethical? Was Julta Millar unethical? Because they knew it might fall. And when Zahid built the cantilevers and the buildings she made, was it unethical? So that's what I'm asking you. Is it contextual? This whole notion of ethical and unethical is contextual. It is to time. To which time are you talking about? When council made a rule for this, what Javeen man told us about this 5% and you can't take less or more. It was for that time, for that context. We don't go into revisions.
Absolutely, absolutely. You rightly said. The context of this ethics is always in context of the time only.
But when we ethics, we are not talking of time. We are not talking of context also. So we make a rule sometime for that particular thing and then we say that whatever happens in that time period is unethical. So that is what I am questioning. The whole discussion is on ethics, which is again contextual and according to time. There have been historical examples as well as examples happening in states in India which are actually unethical practices brought in by the government itself. So how do we discuss this topic? And does the council really help or it harms? You have to see that. Okay, it regulated the practice 1972, that was the need. What did we do in the 50 years after that? Did we do those practices? No, we didn't. We tried and made the best of, we get the best of it wherever we found chance. So let it be like Sir said, Mr. Sir said, to the individual to make his own ethics. It is not up to a government body or for a panel to decide what is unethical. That's what I believe.
In fact, the Council of Architecture, we always expected much more, but we always got much less. Because body like Council of Architecture should have been very strong and should have been very strong teeth. So that if there is any issue which is rather critical and rather pertinent to the larger interest of the professionals, they should have come forward and stood behind us, which is not very prevalent and not at all visible. So that is why all these issues are coming up. Otherwise, if the council had been with us in a very strong manner, we would have been facing a much, having a much easy situation that way. So I think all these issues that we have discussed, this point always remains to be noticed that the bodies, whether we have a local level bodies like IIID and all these bodies, we meet, we interact, we communicate, we discuss a lot of things. But then when it comes to taking forward in terms of making a very robust system of protection to our rights and everything, there probably we take a back seat, or maybe sometimes we don't really be that proactive as we should be. So my appeal to all of you here, you're all seniors, and youngsters as well. This should be maintained.
Sorry, but I just want to add, because if you look at parallels across the world, RIBA or American Institute of Architecture, how are they working and are there unethical practices there? I think the answer is very minimal, because the institutes are very strong. The organization is very strong, and probably to answer Saroj your question, I think it is also about the strength of the institute that will regulate the profession. So that is, I think, where India needs to change its stand. Maybe it needs to reinvent its laws which were made in the 72. But what is currently applicable has to be added. But it is, you cannot just leave it to individual. It has to be a collective image of the institute that we are projecting, and we are probably all the torch bearers here. We must fight for it, and we must make sure that it is done in the right manner. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Sir, I'm just adding a Saroj Gondia my dad, because he said ethics and unethics are conceptual, but I'm sharing just one of my experience recently had. कोविड आई गॉट अ प्रोजेक्ट, एक क्लाइंट था जिनका फाउंडेशन रेडी हो गया, उन्होंने होटल का था, देन ही सेड कि आप उसका इंटीरियर कर दो, तो उन्होंने पुराने वाले आर्किटेक्ट को धीरे से हटा दिया, पूरा प्रोजेक्ट मैं करने लग गया। कोविड आया, उनका कंसेप्ट था कि सर उसको स्कूल बनाते हैं, हमने पूरा स्कूल बनाया, पूरा इंटीरियर किया। अब राइट नाउ ही इज सेइंग कि सर आप बैक डेट में साइन कर दो, तो अभी हमने पूरा प्रोजेक्ट किया, पूरा प्रोजेक्ट फीस में भी सब कुछ काम किया, बट हाउ डू वी फॉलो एथिक्स ऑन दैट प्रोजेक्ट कि पहला कोई और आर्किटेक्ट बिल्ड कर रहा था, राइट नाउ वी आर डूइंग दैट प्रोजेक्ट एंड वी आर कंप्लीटिंग, अच्छा निकल कर रहा है, प्रोजेक्ट कई जगह शेयर भी हुआ, बट द थिंग इज दैट नाउ ही इज सेइंग कि आप उस पे साइन कर दो। अब आई डोंट नो कि हाउ डू वी कंक्लूड द स्ट्रक्चरल एनालिसिस, हाउ वी कंक्लूड द एमईपी एनालिसिस जो उस टाइम पर उस होटल प्रोजेक्ट के लिए अप्रूवल में थी, एंड राइट नाउ इट इज कन्वर्टेड एज अ स्कूल, इट इज समथिंग डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ थिंग।
Gaurav, if I am in your place, I would say flat no. I cannot sign a document aware of in the first place. Second, if I have not designed any structure, I cannot be sure of the structural stability and other things. So flatly you have to say no, because there always cannot be a treatment policy to only appease your client and make him happy. There has to be a line which you have to draw that this is this and the matter ends. So you have to be very categorical in terms of your approach and flatly that nothing doing. If you are not architect and designer for the project that has been carried out before, you have to say that you cannot sign that. Okay, thank you. Yeah, anyone? Anybody else, please? Okay, I think so. It has been really a very nice session with all your spellbound attention and very serious. So we are grateful to you all to have really spared time to make a wonderful show happen, and we are really thankful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this amazing panel session. And now, without any further delay, I request Architect Ajay Abel, I request you, sir, to please come and join us on stage. If he's here, not here. Okay. I request Architect Avinash Bhai to please come and join us on stage. Everyone, please welcome sir with applause. I request sir to please kindly present a memento to our moderator, Architect Ashok Kumar. Everyone, a big hand for our moderator. Thank you so much, sir, for moderating the session so well. Thank you, sir. And now I request Architect Shubhendu Bajpai, sir, to please come and join us on stage to present memento to Architect Anupam Mittal. Everyone, please welcome sir with applause. now I request architect Neeraj Kushwaha sir to please kindly come forward and join us on stage to present memento to architect Zabeen ma'am. Right, thank you sir, thank you ma'am. And now I request architect Rohit Gupta. I request you sir to please kindly come forward and join us on stage to present memento to architect Vatsal Joshi. Everyone please welcome sir with applause. Architect Sanjay Mathur sir to please kindly come and join us on stage to present memento to Dr. Dinky Rana ma'am. Everyone please welcome sir with applause. Right, thank you sir. And now I request architect Sandeep Saraswat sir to please kindly present memento to Mr. Amit Pandey. Everyone come on, a big hand once again for all the panelists and for our moderator. Thank you so much for this fruitful panel discussion.